Hello, and welcome to our discussion today on violence in the media and how it affects children. Research has shown that overexposure to violent media can cause the violent behavior problems in adolescent children who may be susceptible to anger, according to Dr. Eugene Bersin, Director of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Residency Training in Massachusetts General Hospital and McLean Hospital. Research suggests that adolescent children who view violent media are inclined to be more aggressive and more likely to be more combative while becoming desensitized to violence, according to Dr. Dale Archer, a clinical psychiatrist. I have three main points that I would like to cover today. First, adolescent children who view violent media are more inclined to be more aggressive than children who do not view violent media. Second, adolescent children are more likely to become combative after viewing violent media, and then become desensitized towards violence altogether. Third, the role of parents. Parents play a vital role in their child's development in teaching about violence in media. Are adolescent children more inclined to show aggression after viewing violent media? Dr. Dale Archer talks about a study that was done at Virginia Tech where movies were shown after 3 consecutive days, ranging in violence from mild on the first day to extremely violent on the third day. After each day, the individual's aggression levels were measured. After the conclusion of the study, some individuals' aggression levels were quite elevated. These individuals were invited to come back after several days and had their aggression levels evaluated again. There were some individuals that aggression level lingered longer than expected. The conclusion of the study revealed that parents of immature and or children who are prone to aggression should not have access to violent media. The next point I would like to talk about is adolescent children can become combative and desensitized towards violence after viewing violent media. The average American child will watch a minimum of 4 hours of television a day. While television can be a powerful influence in development, much of today's programming is violent. In a pamphlet published in the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry in December 2014, it says, quote, "Children and teenagers are at risk of viewing violent media and are at risk of becoming immune or desensitized towards the horror of violence. They may begin to accept violence as a way to solve everyday problems. They may imitate the violence they view on TV, and they may start to identify with certain characters, victims, or victimizers," end quote. This leads right into my third topic, the role of the parent. In an article on the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry website, HarperCollins wrote an article that gave some points to parents on how to protect children from excessive violence. I have listed a few of them here. Things that include paying attention to programs that children watch, and then sit down and watch these shows with them to make sure that they are appropriate. Set limits of the amount of media children view. This includes television, movies, and video games. Remove television sets from children's rooms. This reinforces the rules. Explain that actors are not hurt or killed, and the same violence in real life can result in pain or death. Do not allow your children to see shows known to be violent. Instead, change the channel, turn off the television when offensive material comes on, and then explain what is wrong with that specific program. Also, lead by example. Do not watch violent media yourself. Lastly, stress that violence is not the answer to solving problems. To reiterate, adolescent children are more at risk for viewing violent media to become more aggressive and combative while becoming desensitized towards violence altogether. So to review my main points, first, adolescent children are prone to show aggression after viewing violent media. Second, adolescent children can become combative and become numb to the effects of violence after viewing violent media. And third, parents play Parents who play an active role in their child's lives can help diffuse aggression that may arise after viewing violent media. In closing, adolescents' brains are still in the development stage. If they constantly live in a world of fantasy, they're not able to distinguish between what is real and what is fantasy. What they view as fantasy will become their reality, thus making them numb to the effects of violence. This in turn can make them unsympathetic, malicious, or making the real world a scary place for them to live. All of these factors could feed aggression in impressionable youth. Pre-adolescent and adolescent brains are like sponges. They will soak up everything they see. When they are confused about life, they can act out what they have seen in movies when they do not know how to communicate what is going on in their brains. Violent movies viewed early in life can make an impression on children. Later in life, a memory can be sparked and cause a trigger for a child to act out an aggression without them understanding why. Parents cannot stand by with blinders on. They need to take an active stance on what their child watches and plays. They need to be an ever-present in their child lives in order to combat the violence that is constantly being thrown at their child today. I'd like to thank you for being here today. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Yes, are there any tips for adults on how to raise children to resist violence that they may see in the media?
Yes, in a brochure produced by the American Psychology Association, they provide numerous examples on how to raise your children and how to help them become better at coping with violence they may view, and instead of acting on aggression, parents have the ammunition to help them combat to reduce or minimize the amount of violence in their home. Parents play a vital role in reducing violence in children's lives by providing a safe and loving home for children. Other suggestions include giving children constant love and attention, making sure children are supervised, showing children appropriate behaviors by the way you, the adult, act. Be constant in your rules and discipline. Keep violence out of your home. A child who has seen violence at home does not always become violent, but he or she may be more likely to try to resolve conflicts with violence. Try to minimize the amount of media your child watches that contain violence. Limit the viewing time to 1 to 2 hours a day. Make sure you are aware of the television shows and the video games and movies your child watches as well. Talk to your children about violence that they see in television shows, in the movies, and video games. Help them understand how painful it would be in real life and serious consequences for the violent behaviors that they see. Discuss with your children the best way to resolve problems without violence. Help your child to stand up against violence.
Are all kids who view violent media at risk of becoming violent?
No. In a study done by a team of researchers at Mass General in 2004, led by Dr. Cheryl Olson, a sampling of 1,254 7th and 8th graders, and 500 parents in South Carolina and Pennsylvania, the study revealed that kids who did play violent video games, only 2/3 of 14-year-old boys played at least one video game, and 1/4 of the girls surveyed played violent video games. The research also found that these kids often played to cope with their emotions, to enjoy the challenges of the game, to keep up with their peers who were playing the games, and to create their own world of fantasy, or to relieve stress.
One more question. Are there any positive sides to children playing video games?
Yes. Children who play video games, their brains are tasked with several different skills. Some of these skills are not taught in schools. In an article written by Cha-Cha Tumbokan, titled "The Positives and Negatives Effects of Video Games," some of the skills that can be enhanced by video games can include following instructions, positive solving and logic, problem solving and logic, hand-eye coordination, fine motor and spatial skills, planning, resource management and logistics, multitasking, simultaneous tracking of many shifting variables, and managing multiple objects. Quick thinking, making fast analysis and decisions, accuracy, strategy and anticipation, situation awareness, developing reading and math skills, perseverance, pattern recognition, estimating skills, inductive reasoning and hypothesis testing, mapping, memory, concentration, improved ability to rapidly and accurately recognizing visual information, reasoned judgment, taking risks, how to respond to challenges and frustrations, how to explore and rethink goals, and teamwork and cooperation with playing with others. Looks like that's all the time we have. Again, thank you for coming.